And since Russia is clearly backing Republicans, why don't we ask China to back us?
I hereby tonight ask China.
That's right. And not only that, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, how did the New York Times get a hold of President Trump's private financial tax records? That is the question we're going to talk about here today. Plus, we're going to look at the incredible testimony from Christopher Wray on Capitol Hill, where they've basically mischaracterized what he said. We're going to take a look at Jim Jordan and the Judiciary Committee and him outlining exactly what we're going up against and how ridiculous the premise of the Democrat investigation is. Plus, Nancy Pelosi calls for Attorney General Barr to be put in jail. Did that actually happen? You guys are going to want to stick around, watch this episode, and find out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you have not done that, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, and make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. Plus, go hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see more. So, here's where we're going to be picking up. We're going to be talking about you guessed it, what's going on with this breaking news about President Trump's tax returns being leaked. Now, I covered this in the previous episode, and I always encourage everyone to come back here, watch these last few videos. I did a whole layout of what they had supposedly uncovered, the bombshell information they uncovered in President Trump's tax returns. You guys are going to go watch this video if you want to get caught up on that info. But what I really want to talk about today is this story. Again, if you guys are new to this and you're wondering what's Q and what this guy's talking about, I always encourage everyone also to watch this video. What is QAnon, the Great Awakening? That'll give you all that information. But it's how did the New York Times obtain President Trump's tax documentation from 1985 to 1994? That's the question at hand. And if you read this article by Christina Layla over at the Gateway Pundit, it's basically asking the question, where did all this information come from? Nobody's able to really pinpoint exactly where it came from, other than the fact that it's not his actual tax returns. It's actually a copy or printouts that were obtained from his IRS transcripts with numbers from his tax form and 1040 form from an individual who had legal access to them. Now, the Democrats have been gunning for Trump's, and this is the story going on here, gunning for Trump's taxes so they can selectively leak information to damage the president. And this is all coming on the heels of, if you'll remember, I covered this as well, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin on Monday formally rejecting the Democrats' request for Trump's tax return. So someone leaked Trump's tax documents to the New York Times. But you guys watched that video at the beginning, right? You guys watched this clip of Hillary Clinton and Rachel Maddow supposedly joking on national television on Conspiracy Network MSNBC, discussing the fact that they want China to release illegally the hacked personal financial information and tax records of the President of the United States. Let that sink in for a second. Exactly 1 week ago today, Hillary Clinton was on Rachel Maddow asking the Chinese to illegally release President Trump's tax information, private financial information. And this is in the middle of a very heated, contentious trade negotiation with China. And this is like what really blows my mind is that this is just, everybody's like, oh, okay, this is not a big deal. And then they're laughing about how, obviously President Trump's a Russian who's being helped by Russians. That's what she literally says on Rachel Maddow. Take a step back and think about that statement. Hillary Clinton says that because it's a known and given fact that President Trump's working with the Russians, that somehow that means that they can sit there on a stage in wherever, in New York, and say, you know what, we demand or we request that the Chinese hack this information and give it to us. And I've made this point 1,000 times. There is a huge difference between President Trump on a rally stage saying, if the Russians have them, they should release them. This is with regard to the Hillary Clinton WikiLeaks emails. There's a big difference between that statement and actually asking and making a formal request of the Chinese government to illegally hack the private financial information of the president and then release it. Now, and I mean that in the sense of President Trump never colluded with Russia. There is no documentable crime besides that statement and a few other pretty ambiguous claims that he's working with the Russians. We have direct evidence, and I know a lot of it hasn't been released yet, but I can guarantee you there are people at the FBI and the DOJ and inside on Congress and Capitol Hill who know exactly what I'm talking about. We have the evidence. We have the 33,000 deleted emails. The NSA kept all of that information. It shows that Hillary Clinton had special access program information on her private email server that was hacked by the Chinese that led to the death or internment of 18 to 20 clandestine intelligence agents in China. That's one example. That does not include Uranium One. That does not include the rest. And I'm just saying right now, there's nothing to even that remotely that level of evidence against President Trump with regard to Russia. So for me, it's crazy projection. It's the Machiavellian tactics of, accuse your opponent what you're most guilty of, right? That's how you diffuse their argument. That's how you completely muddy the waters of what's real and what's not. And then you have this incredible following of just basically, I hate to say it, but the majority of people who follow most of these politicians just have no idea about what's really going on. They go in on like one specific issue. They're like, yeah, Hillary Clinton wants abortions for everyone. Yeah. But they don't know anything about anything else. They don't know anything about foreign policy. They don't know anything about, all they hear is Russia, Orange Man, bad. And if you repeat that lie enough, just like the Nazi propagandist did, if you repeat the lie enough, it becomes truth to many people in this country. So that was that rant. Speaking of rants, I got to show you guys Jim Jordan in Congress. This is epic. You guys are going to want to watch this. It's him refuting basically everything that's continued to be said about they need to hold Attorney General Barr in contempt, and it's ridiculous. But Jim Jordan breaks everything down way better than I can. So you guys are going to want to watch this.
Recognize. Bill Barr is following the law, and what's his reward? Democrats are going to hold him in contempt. I don't think today's actually about getting information. I don't think it's about getting the unredacted Mueller report. I don't think last week's hearing was actually about having staff question the Attorney General. I think it's, as my colleague said earlier, I think it's all about trying to destroy Bill Barr because Democrats are nervous he's going to get to the bottom of everything. He's going to find out how and why this investigation started in the first place. Never forget what Bill Barr said a few weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago when he testified in front of the Senate Finance Committee. Said a lot of important things, but he said four very interesting things. First, he said there was a failure of leadership at the upper echelon, term he used, upper echelon of the FBI. We all know that's the case. Director Comey's been fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired, lied 3 times under oath, according to the Inspector General. FBI counsel Jim Baker demoted and left, currently under investigation by the Justice Department. Lisa Page demoted and left. Peter Strzok, Deputy Head of Counterintelligence, demoted and fired. Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation and the Russian investigation. There was certainly a failure of leadership at the upper echelon of the FBI. Second thing the Attorney General said 3.5 weeks ago in front of the Senate Finance Committee. Spying did occur. Said it twice. Yes, spying did occur. Third, he said, there's a basis for my concern about the spying that took place. And maybe the most interesting thing, 2 terms he used that frankly I find frightening. He said there was, in his judgment, he thinks there may have been unauthorized surveillance and political surveillance. Scary terms. We got to go back to January 3rd, 2017. Senator Schumer on the Rachel Maddow show talking about then President-elect Trump says this: if you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. Now, I don't know if the FBI went after President Trump in 6 ways, but I sure know they went after him in 2 ways. And the first one is the now famous dossier. On October 21st, 2016, the FBI used one party's opposition research document as the basis to go to a secret court to get a warrant to spy on the other party's campaign. That happened. Democrat National Committee, the Clinton campaign, paid Perkins Coie law firm, who hired Fusion GPS, who then hired a foreigner, Christopher Steele, who did what? Talked to Russians and put together this salacious, unverified document that became the basis to get a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. They did it. And when they went to the court, they didn't tell them important things like who paid for it, They didn't tell him that Christopher Steele had already told the FBI and the Justice Department that he was, quote, desperate to stop Trump. And they didn't tell the court that Christopher Steele had been fired by the FBI because he's out talking to the press. They did that. And second, just last Thursday, New York Times story, FBI sent investigator posing as an assistant to meet with the Trump aide in 2016. FBI sent someone in, pretending to be somebody else, to talk with George Papadopoulos, who was with the Trump campaign. You know what they call that? You know what they call that? It's called spying. They did it. They did it. They did it twice, and who knows how much more. And what I know is Bill Barr has said he's going to get to the bottom of it. And think about the term he used again. This is important. Political surveillance in the United States of America. I will not yield. Think about that term. He's going to get to he said he's going to put a team together, going to investigate all this. This is critical. And never forget the guy who ran this investigation, Peter Strzok, ran the Clinton investigation and then launched and ran the Trump-Russia investigation. Never forget what he said. Trump should lose $100 million to zero. We need an insurance policy. Told Lisa Page, don't worry, Lisa, we'll stop Trump. This is what Bill Barr wants to investigate. And as my colleagues have said, this is the House Judiciary Committee, with the history this committee has in protecting fundamental liberties and protecting the Constitution. Last week, there was another important document Emmett Flood sent to the Attorney General. I just want to read a couple sentences. Under our system of government, unelected executive branch officers and intelligence agency personnel are supposed to answer to the person elected by the people, the president, and not the other way around. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's a matter of having a government responsible to the people, to we the people. In the partisan commotion surrounding the Mueller report, it would be well to remember that what can be done to a president can be done to any of us. And this committee is supposed to look out for that fundamental fact more than anything else. And we are not doing that today. I yield back.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what you guys saw there is Jim Jordan explaining exactly what we're up against, right? Is that not like the complete and total layout of how we've come to where we are? The Democrats, I think the key takeaway from that is the Democrats are terrified that Attorney General Barr is actually investigating the crimes like the abuse of FISA-gate, the illegal spying on the president, and so much more that's going to expose them for their involvement, their complicity in forwarding this incredible hoax and using it and weaponizing it to not only meddle in the 2016 election, they meddled in the 2018 election, and they're trying to use it even further in the 2020 election. And it just seems like nobody wants to address the issue that we're using this falsely predicated hoax investigation to basically mislead the American people. You have the person who lost the Democratic election in 2016, even with all of this incredible corruption, they still lost. Hillary Clinton is joking, and maybe not even joking, apparently, if you look at the set of facts that happened afterward, about having the Chinese come and help her, to illegally reveal the private financial tax information of President Trump. So, and then we have all of this other stuff, and it goes right into the story, about Trump exerting his executive privilege to keep Mueller report secret from Congress as his attorney general is held in contempt for refusing to hand it over. So they're holding the Attorney General Bill Barr in contempt for not giving them the fully unredacted report, although it's laws that they passed themselves, Congress, that prevent the full report from being revealed. Not to mention there are ongoing investigations that would be completely compromised if you give the full report. So you wonder why they're holding on to it. You wonder why the Democrats are so angry about this. Because the ongoing investigations have everything to do with the criminal acts and corruption of the previous administration and Senate and House Democrats and possibly Republicans. So to me, we've just crossed into bizarre world. There's nothing that makes sense about any of this. Here's a great one. Draw and Strike highlighted this Ramsey's GOAT tweet, which talked about the difference between Attorney General Barr and Eric Holder, the former Attorney General under the Obama administration. It says Eric Holder hid docs showing illegal U.S. government-sanctioned gun sales to narco-terrorists. Barr is protecting grand jury and intelligence sources and methods as he is bound to, by law, polar opposites, one lawless, the other upholding the law. Yeah, I have to wholeheartedly agree with that. Now, here's a fascinating clip. The director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, is being questioned on Capitol Hill about, and it's incredible. So what happened was the mainstream media took this little exchange and they took a few things out of context and they said, look, Christopher Wray said that it's all okay that President Trump was spied on and that all the FISA warrants were justified and that there's no hoax here. This is all real. Well, they completely took it out of context. So I'm going to show you the whole clip in context. And here's the exchange between the senator and the FBI director about the FISA surveillance warrants. Let's go ahead and watch this.
And as part of the investigative process, do FBI agents secure warrants for relevant evidence?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, as part of an investigative process, like the investigative process into the 2016 presidential campaign, do FBI agents secure warrants for relevant evidence?
Certainly, securing warrants is a very important step that we take every day in the FBI in lots and lots of investigations.
So I would take that as a yes. Did FBI agents get warrants for information as part of their counter-surveillance investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election?
Well, I want to be a little bit careful about what I can discuss here, but I think it's been publicly disclosed that there were a number of relevant warrants that were secured in the course of that investigation.
Thank you. And do you believe, Director Wray, that the FBI and its agents spied into the 2016 presidential campaign operation?
Well, again, I want to be careful about how I answer that question here because there is an ongoing Inspector General investigation. I have my own thoughts based on limited information I've seen so far, but I don't think it would be ripe or appropriate for me to share those at this stage because I really do think it's important for everybody to respect the independent Inspector General's investigation, which I think this line of questioning starts to implicate, and I think it's very important for everybody to be able to have full confidence in his review.
And at this time, do you have any evidence that any illegal surveillance into the campaigns or individuals associated with the campaigns by the FBI occurred?
I don't think I personally have any evidence of that sort.
Thank you.
Okay, so what you just saw there, they took that. The mainstream media took that exchange right there, and they've been running the headlines. The FBI director says that there was no abuse of the FISA warrants, and there was nothing. But if you look at the context of the full conversation, you can understand clearly that he's basically saying, I can't really talk about this because there's ongoing investigations. And he can't pronounce judgment because he's not James Comey. He's not a flagrantly corrupt FBI director who will just get up in front of the press or in front of Congress and lie and pronounce judgments and do all types of corrupt, illegal things. So, or leak information to the media. I mean, whatever you want to go through the list about James Comey, but Christopher Wray's not doing that. But this is how the media minces words. They take that exchange, they pull a few quotes out of context, and bada boom, bada bing, FBI director has cleared all wrongdoing of everyone involved with the FISA investigation into President Trump. So there you go. That's how it works. That's how the fake news works. And I just thought I'd share that with you. Going into the final story here, this is actually happening. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. If you were writing a movie, you could not have, I don't know that I could write this kind of insanity into a script because it would be so unbelievable. It would make the movie terrible. But this isn't a movie. This is real life. And these people actually represent us. This woman is actually third in line to become the president of the United States. That should terrify everyone. And we're just going to watch this clip because she says that the jails will be, quote, overcrowded, unquote, if we start arresting all of the Trump officials. This is, I don't know. You guys got to watch this.
Give those tax returns to the Ways and Means chairman.
How far can you go on that front, Speaker Pelosi? Speaker Pelosi, could you hold the Secretary of Treasury, Steven Mnuchin, in contempt? Some Democrats have even raised the prospect of arresting the Treasury Secretary if he does not comply with congressional demands.
Well, let me just say that we do have a little jail down in the basement of the Capitol. But if we were arresting all of the people in the administration, we would have overcrowded jail situation, and I'm not for that. But I think.
Okay, that's all you need to see of that. The reality is this. If you think about what is happening here, first of all, this person, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, is making a joke. And it's, you know, okay, it's in terrible taste, in my opinion. We're not going to lock up the Secretary of the Treasury. That's a joke. I can imagine the judge's face when the Democrats in Congress managed to get these people, like the Attorney General and the Secretary of the Treasury, in front of a judge, and they go, yeah, you need to put him in jail. I mean, they just get laughed out of the courtroom, I think, unless it's in the Ninth Circuit, or the Ninth Circuit, I should say. But if you think about this, this is their incredible tactic that they've been employing since the beginning. Is they make it all a joke. And then you know who's the facilitator here? You know who's the one who's really the problem? It's not. I mean, I know it is. Let's just say it is the way that Nancy Pelosi runs her position as the House Speaker. But it's also there is definitely culpability here on the Washington Post and these fake news outlets. They are propagandists. You are being propagandized. You are being manipulated. You're being lied to. This is beyond anything I've ever seen. This is like Rules for Radicals in real time. Saul Alinsky loving every second of what's happening here. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. But that's pretty much it. I want to say thanks to everybody for watching. Come here, click the subscribe button if you haven't already. That helps out the channel. Also, hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see more. And leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below because I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this. Also, you can come find me over here on Twitter at JustInformU. That's at JustInformU is the Twitter handle. You guys can come find me and give me a follow, and that's a cool way we can get in touch outside of the channel there. And also, come check out JustInformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you get different information. You get links to all the Q stuff, links to different news websites, and of course, you'll get the latest breaking news articles and the newest videos from the channel. So that's a cool thing. You guys should all go check out. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial. If you guys want to support the content creation here on this channel, there are a couple ways to do it. You can come here to Patreon, patreon.com/justinformedtalk. It's a crowdfunding website. There'll be a link in the description. When you come here, you click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it for as little as $1. You can help create content on this channel, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys coming and contributing, because this is really, you guys are what make this channel possible, and without you guys it wouldn't work. So thank you. And also I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or an anonymous donation. I always encourage everyone to check that out as well. So those tools are there for you if you guys want to and feel the need and you are able to donate. You guys are really what help this channel stay alive. Before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today, we're going to use a piece of scripture out of the book of James, and this is called The Wisdom from Above, and it's chapter 3, verses 13 through 18. And I want to share these words with you, and then we'll talk about them for a second. It says, "Who is wise and understanding among you? He should show his works by good conduct with wisdom's gentleness. But if you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your heart, don't brag and lie in defiance of the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from above, but is earthly, sensual, demonic. For where envy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every kind of evil. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, compliant, full of mercy and good fruits, without favoritism and hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace." So basically the takeaway for me is the wisdom that we should seek is the one from God above. We should not seek the wisdom of what is here on this earth. And if more people did that, I think that our country and our world would be a much better place. But for now, we have to make do with what cards were basically dealt. And And to that note, I just want to say, remember to look above, and that it is beholden upon us to sow the peace, to sow the seeds of what we want in this world. And that to me is really what we have to remember and try to focus on when we come up against such great evil, such great adversity, such great malevolence and corruption. We have to remember that we are the ones who will set the example, and we should never ever stoop down to the level of those that we are going up against. And because nothing about being a Christian is easy. And if anybody's read the Bible, and they definitely will have read that, and there's nothing easy about it. It might be simple, but it isn't easy. So you have to pray, you have to look to God, and you have to remember to be the change that you want to see in this world. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Remember, come here, click the subscribe button if you haven't, hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see more. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.